Welcome to Devoxx Belgium, everybody. So welcome to the 17th edition. That means it's still 3 years for the 20th edition, and I hope for the 20th edition we can have the same movie, but then for Mars. Who knows, right? I hope Ellen, go Ellen. So, we can start. So 9 months of preparation. Lots of emotional roller coasters. In June, we were all set. Yeah, registration ready, CFPs ready, all go, tweet. And then this happened. Boom! Everything was on fire. We've never had more than 1,000 proposals. We had 1,060 proposals from more than 800 speakers. The registration, we sold out in July, and we hadn't announced a single speaker. And it was sold out. So we have blind bird, and that's it. That does create a bit of a management type of challenge because we had 800 speakers, of which 600 would get rejected. And a lot of those speakers, then they hope that if they don't get a speaker ticket, they will just buy one. But it was already sold out. So you can imagine like the frantic situation, and like even sponsors. We sold out the sponsors, the exhibition floor. We had a waiting list for sponsors, and we had another 500 people also on the waiting list to actually come to this event. So you can imagine it's a positive problem. I'm not complaining, but you do need to manage this, and you go like, what the hell? Now, nevertheless, with a great team and my partner in crime, Christine, we did a great job. We managed it. We allocated 300 tickets in the site. People could register, but it was a bit of juggling. But afterwards, all is fine, and you are here. You can enjoy it. Now, it does mean I had to top it at 3,200. We did not allow 3,500, which we've done in the previous year. So you have a bit more space, but it will still be very crowded. Be professional. I have the biggest stress when it's lunch, because then everybody goes to the exhibition floor. We're going to be distributing the famous crab sandwiches and the salads also upstairs. But just be professional, take your time. Also for the rooms, if the rooms are full, we are streaming all the talks live on Periscope and YouTube. All the sessions from yesterday and the day before are already available for free with no advertisements and so on. So you will not have to miss a single second of all the talks. So I would like to thank, of course, the team. I mean, Christine and I, we run all the admin and so on, but without the team, there would not be any registration, there would not be any review of the sessions, and all like running around with tables and water. So a big applause to my team. There's still a few actually working at the registration desk, but let's have a great applause for them. Thank you very much for helping out. It takes a small village to actually make this happen, so thank you. And of course, without speakers, there would not be a Devoxx either. I think we have about 220 speakers, something about around that number. I would like to thank all the speakers. They come from all over the world to share the knowledge, and thank you very much to do that effort. I mean, it's just amazing. And again, it's just beautiful to see. We try to, we try to find a balance also from Track's point of view, diversity. That it's really such a multi-dimensional effort. It's always interesting to see how it actually ends out. And that's another thing. Is like what we do, because we had 1,060 proposals. Our program committee is we were only with 20 people. If we have to review 1,060, it's just way too much work. So we have a concept called golden tickets. So the first 600 people who register, they get the chance to actually also vote on the talks. And this is the top people who actually voted. There's actually Jan Vissers. He actually went through 1,000 talks, which is quite a lot. It might be his cat as well. I don't know. Maybe his cat is called Schröder or something. I don't know. But nevertheless, we had 96 active people from the golden tickets reviewing sessions as well. And we do take that into account when we actually take the selections of the talks and the speakers. So thank you all for helping out. It's a community event. It's a community effort. And that's really great. I really appreciate that. Without speakers, without the team, that's just one part of the equation. A big equation to make the entrance fee as low as possible is, of course, our sponsors. So I would like to thank Pivotal, JetBrains, ING, and Google Cloud, or Google, to support us. And there are many more. There's always a few new companies who actually join us on a yearly basis. And luckily, this year, actually, Microsoft got in, because last year I had to reject them because we hadn't any space left. So go like, that's always a good feeling to say like to Microsoft, yeah, sorry, we're full. Yeah, I use Mac. No, but I'm joking. I mean, they got some interesting things going on with Java on Azure and so on. So glad that they could join us. Same for Amazon. It's the first time that they're here at Devoxx Belgium. They were actually at Devoxx France already. So it's good to welcome them. And many others, as you can see from this list. It really, again, is a community effort, and it's great to have their support. So thank you to all the sponsors. Make sure you go to their booth, get the merchandising. There's some really cool T-shirts that I've saw. Make sure you check that out. All right. Another one which I would like to thank is all the top companies which are here. These are really the companies which I have a lot of respect for, because if you look at this list, ING, Arns Group, Quintor again, Bol.com, a lot of actually companies from the Netherlands, which is amazing, because they got a great event already, which was previous week, which is JFall. But yeah, they sell out in like, what is it, 4 days as well? Or it's also 4 days, right? So, but like, I know Quintor, they wanted to come here with 85 people, but we had already sold out, again, the registration. And they were like, come on, now we want to come with the whole team. So that's amazing. It really becomes like part of their team building, and a lot of companies do this. It's their week, to geek out, find some old colleagues and network, and have a few beers in the evening. And mind you, who's here for the first time at Devoxx? Yeah, so maybe 20%. Just so a big warning, this evening, Belgian beer will give you a hangover. Just watch out for that. So thank you for your support, all these companies who are here, and there's many more, of course. So what I wanted to do in my last portion of the talk is to actually give you a bit of an idea, well, a bit of a view behind the scenes. What you've probably noticed is that we actually have a lot of AI-related talks this year, machine learning and deep learning and so on. And we of course, I mean, I'm a developer, it's our 17th year. If I would just copy and paste every edition, I would not continue doing this because it would be boring for me. I want to actually play with technology and actually apply it also in the conference. So I want to actually introduce you to 4 projects and actually give you a bit of an insight how we are abusing, misusing, trying out things in relation to AI. And the first one is a project called the Devoxx Schedule. And I would like to thank Jeffrey, Pityor, and Victor. I think they're here in the room. You can just quickly stand up if they're there. So these guys, yeah, definitely applause for them. So Geoffrey has been stalking me for the last 3 years now, asking constantly. He works for Red Hat, works on Optaplanner, and he said, like, man, I want you to really use Optaplanner to schedule your event. So we have like, and I've constantly pushed back because I didn't want to do it, but this year it was funny. I was at Devoxx Poland, and I met Pityor and Victor, and they were going like, yeah, we are doing some really great projects using Scala and AI and so on, and we could actually create your schedule using constraint resolvers. And they were like pushing me. Geoffrey was pushing me and said, okay, it looks like it's time to actually try this out. So we had 2 teams working side to side, and the idea behind it is that I press a button and the schedule gets generated. That's the theory. Now, of course, you need to add quite a bit of constraints to that, because then you start working, you go like, yeah, but what about crowd control? Crowd control? Yeah, if you have Venkat in room 8, you want to have another rockstar speaker balancing him out, because otherwise he's like a magnet. Everybody will go to his session and all the other rooms will be empty, right? So you need to think about this. And of course, like, for example, other constraints that you want to add is, for example, we have 10 tracks. It would be great that we have 10 tracks in one time slot, so you don't have 2 Java talks competing with each other, things like that. But it's a lot more complicated, actually. Once you start thinking about this, you go like, well, you want to make sure that, for example, a speaker gives a talk, maybe like Brian, he gives 2 talks, and you want to have a talk in between, so that way at least he can actually decompress and then go to his other session and relax. Or you could have a speaker on Monday, and you don't want that speaker to actually talk on Friday, because then there's too many days in between. And there's like there's many more constraints. There's about 14, 15 different constraints that we add. And there's really some cool stuff that I couldn't even do. But the obvious one is availability. Speakers say, like Trisha, she contacted me, say, yeah, I'm there on Wednesday afternoon, and I need to go back on Thursday afternoon, so you need to add that. But if you have 217 speakers, there's a lot of constraints that you have to think about if you do this manually. In this system, you just add it, you configure it, you add all your favoriting things like, for example, having only one session of a speaker in one time slot, but also the crowd control, etc. And what even is nicer is, for example, the audience level. If you have a talk very similar, but the one has mentioned it's a beginner talk and the other one is an advanced talk, then the beginner talk should be scheduled first and the advanced one should be scheduled after that. All those type of things are actually taken into account in these constraint resolvers, and they basically then create a nice schedule. Now, the beauty is that every time you press that button, create a schedule, it creates a new schedule. It looks like there are more, it might be that there are more, what is it? Is it more than the minimum number of atoms in the observable universe of the possibilities of creating a schedule? And to get that answer, you will need to come to their session. Right? So they will be having a talk on this tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and it's basically competing the two solutions and seeing how that actually works, etc. So I will definitely invite you to go to their session. So thank again, Victor, Pityor, and Geoffrey for that work. That makes my life a lot easier, because people go like, why did you schedule me on Monday evening? I said, hey, it's the algorithm. It's not me, it's not me. It's AI. So cool. Now the other one we did, and that's one we've been struggling with every year. I don't know, who was here last year? So quite a bit. So you've noticed when you came in the rooms, we have a Twitter wall. And last year we thought it was a good idea to include images. We thought, works at home. Until then the Devoxx hashtag trends. And all of a sudden, all these Russian bots, and it was a Russian bot last year, was hijacking our hashtag. And they were like promoting, let's say, with, it wasn't gender neutral pictures. And it was basically polluting our tweet wall. And I remember there was one tweet where there was this picture, and then Mario's tweet was above it, and people were going like, why did Mario tweet a naked lady? And we went like, seriously, it was before the keynote, and we were all going like, oh, damn, what can we do? We don't have any blacklist, we don't have... So we had to really think about and do this a bit better. And that's where Sven and his colleague really went all the way with Martin and actually said like, okay, let's add some artificial intelligence here. There's really quite a lot of interesting things we can do with this. So I would like to get Sven on stage so we can actually talk about what happened. And Sven, welcome to Devoxx.
Thanks for having me.
We need to give you a mic. And I'll give you the clicker so you can go through the sequence. Come over here in the spotlight.
All right.
Don't be shy.
So what we did, let me see.
Yeah, they'll switch to the slide.
Okay. So what we do is we have a stream of tweets from Twitter. And the first thing is we want to trust you all. So the first thing is we do whitelisting. So everybody we know, you're in. And you end up on the wall. And then we do blacklisting. So people we know, we had like a Amazon Black Friday last year. That was trending as well. And yeah, so we just keep blacklisting those things. And they're out. And next thing we did, we're looking at the bot followers. So there are, typically bots don't have a lot of followers. So we filter those out. And if it matches, they're gone. And, but it's still not good enough. So now we added AI. So the idea was look at the images and try to classify them, categorize them. So we're pushing them to Google Cloud Vision API.
And just to be fair to all the other sponsors, yes, Microsoft can do this as well. Amazon can do this as well. Oracle can't, I think. But all the others, they do that. They can actually say, yeah, it's a safe image or not, right?
Yeah, so and we figured out, yeah, this is quite a good idea, and it works.
Yeah.
But sometimes the results are really surprising, so we will have to some work to do. So if you think your images should show up and they are not showing up, get in contact and we try to figure out what happened. And maybe we do some AutoML for next year and do some fine-tuned neural network for.
And I noticed this morning you had another hashtag, a yellow one.
Yeah, we had last night with some community contribution, we managed to get that wall running on OpenJDK 11.
Because the wall runs on Java FX and on Java, and it now runs on Java 11, Mark, so it does work.
Thank you. All right, and just to finish this, so if this is a likely new picture, it's out, and the tweet is out. And next thing is what we are looking at into the moment is using the text and doing text analysis as well. But this is even more complex because there are different categories and things you have to look at. Yeah. But so it's
an interesting hobby project.
Yes,
I mean, you've not been following any sessions the last 2 days because you've just been hacking and.
Oh, I was at Stuart's talk about a masterclass and streams.
Okay,
so we're doing a lot of streams there. So
of course.
Always good to know your stuff.
Cool. Well, that sounds good, man.
All right.
Thank you very much. And there is a talk this evening, right? I think I've got it on the next slide. Let's go there. So is it this evening, at 8? If you want to see, it's open source, so you can play with it. You can donate your work. If you want to have some other ideas, feel free to come to the BOF and get more details.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sven.
And if you think we should move to the IBM party, we can do this as well.
Oh, yeah, IBM does that as well, right, yeah. Cool. Thank you, Sven.
Thanks for having me.
So another AI project we're doing, and this was unfortunately, it was a BOF yesterday evening, you've probably missed it then, but this is Lynn Weitz. She's a student, and together, or under the support from Alex and with the help of Jan Kees, they did a very interesting project which I call the conference pictures. So we produce thousands and thousands of pictures during the conference. We put it on Flickr, and it's for free. It's copyleft, so a lot of speakers use that picture for their avatar or for their websites. But if I want to have a picture of Ray, for example, then I need to go through all those albums. Now, I do know Google Photos does that with already recognizing people, but I want to have an API, and they don't provide an API. So if you don't have it, we'll just build it. So that's what Lynn did. Lynn is doing her thesis on this. And she basically takes all the pictures from Flickr. She creates a face ID, basically. And so if my face ID is 123, then she will show me all the pictures where 123 actually shows up. Now, we need to make sure that we also support different. If we only feed the neural network with white people, then it would not recognize Venkat. So seriously, a neural network can be a racist. You know that, right? We've seen that before already. So you need to actually have training data, which is gender neutral, race neutral, etc. So of course we tried Venkat because, I mean, we have so many pictures from Venkat. And what we've noticed is that if it's, 98% certain that it is Venkat, then 98 and higher is actually Venkat. But we actually use the neural network where it comes from the paparazzi network. So it has some data from paparazzi. So even if Venkat is doing like this, or it's actually a tweet with the avatar of Venkat on the Twitter wall, it will even recognize that image from Venkat on the Twitter wall. So it's pretty amazing. And so that way, I will have now a dashboard, and I can just say, well, automatically we will see that if it's 89, we'll just auto-approve it. But if it's like, sorry, not 89, 98. But if it's like 97, I have like a dashboard, and then Jan Kees provided me this. I can say, yes, that is Roy, that is Roy. No, this is not Roy, etc. So that way, we can actually have a nice welcome page, eventually what we want to do for next year on the Voxx website. When you go to Mark's talk and you have the video on YouTube, we will have all the pictures from Mark from all the previous editions. So that's going to be really a cool feature. And it's a fun project, and we'll probably open source it, and you can play with it and then use it for your own family or whatever. So thank you, Lynn and the team, for making this happen. I think that's a really cool project. So thank you. So the last project I wanted to share is the one which I'm really the proudest of. And this is, as an organizer, this has been a wet dream for me for many, many years as an organizer, is the room occupancy. Because what we are missing, we are doing rating, so people can rate talks. But then you go like, okay, it's a room of like 700 people, you had 20 people who rated, and they gave you 5 star. But I want to know how many people were in the room. So what I'm doing, and this is a problem for me because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I want to know how many people are in the room for that speaker because I really want to know how hot that topic is or how interesting the speaker is, etc. So what I do is that I run around from room to room. You often probably have, if you've been here before, you probably see me running around. I just want to know how many people are in the room. I'm just curious how hot the topic is. So the problem with that is it doesn't scale from an age perspective. We're not getting any younger. And to tell you a secret, every Devoxx Belgium I do, I lose 3 kilograms. Yeah, so if you want to do a diet, a conference diet, organize a Devoxx. It works. Because I do run quite a bit around, and it's getting less and less, but like I remember 5 years ago, I did like 21 kilometers in one day, just running around. And you just need to imagine this. This is a marathon of 5 days. You don't really eat a lot. You don't sleep a lot because you're stressed out. You're thinking about the keynote speakers and the slides. So it's a very stressy environment. So we need to fix it. And of course, we're developers, so we want to automate this. And we did this in Devoxx US. We can automate it, I said. They got some students, and they had a clicker. It's automated. In. Come on. It's a technology conference. This is like low-tech. I want to have a high-tech solution. So some years ago, we actually worked together with IBM. And I don't know if you remember this, but we had an RFID chip in the badge. And then we had active RFID readers. And when people were entering the room, we were actually counting the signals. The problem is that we have so many people here that if people are queuing, your body, it's water, so it's blocking the signal. So we only had like 75% accuracy. I mean, 75, come on. If you're doing machine learning and so on, 89 is like the standard. 98, I'm a bit dyslexic, sorry. 98% is the standard. So we need to find another solution. And we actually built something since the last 4 months or so. And this is actually a dashboard. It's a screenshot from yesterday where we actually see in the room how many people are in and out. And this is, of course, not a project I've done alone. This was only possible with the support of Casper and Stephan, so I would like to get them on stage here. Casper and Stephan, you want to join me? And of course, I'm a bit of a business guy as well, so we immediately created a small company, which is called Counter AI. So welcome to Devoxx.
Thank you.
Yeah, and did it crash when all the people came in the room? Did you check already?
We didn't have the time, so
okay.
like 5 minutes. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just show you. So what we did, first of all, with machine learning, you need to have training data. So what we did last year is that we recorded the room 8 with a camera on Friday, and people were going in and out, and this was our training material, right? And then you guys basically started tagging it, or what did you do?
Yeah, we manually tagged a lot of images.
Yeah, and that's a manual task. So this is actually an example you can see here. So this was from last year.
Yeah.
And so what you're seeing here is that it auto-detects if it's a person or not, and if it's moving in or out.
Yeah, yeah, we really sliced the video, took a lot of frames, manually added boxes, and trained the network. So.
Okay, yeah. So that was last year.
Yeah.
Then we had this year. We did it, you set it up, and we saw on Monday a few issues.
Yeah, we did have a few hiccups because right now we're using a hobby kit, let's say. So we're using a Raspberry Pi and a cheap camera, which meant that in a dark room like this, we didn't have enough light to actually count the people. We did have testing material, which was quite dark in terms of the colors, but still we didn't have an accuracy that was good enough. So BVRent helped us out and put up some lights, and that helped a lot.
I mean, we do agile conference organization, right? So we said,
oh,
we need some extra lights. Okay, 1 hour later, there's some extra lights. So that was already sorted. So we had more light, so the camera could see people. And then I noticed there was like this back shadow.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what happened, Stephan?
Yeah, shadow is a problem. So sometimes the shadow is counted as a person.
Yeah. And the reason why is because last year we had imagery that was in a 45 angle.
Yeah.
So that meant that the shadows kind of looked like the imagery we had last year, which meant that it was trained on that data.
Yeah.
So we hope to fix that next year.
So it's basically, well, we now have lots of extra training data where we can mark, no, this is a false positive. Yeah. And there was also like people at half a head because of the shadow.
That's because of the height of the camera as well, and because of the shadow. So some people have a half head or no head at all, Especially when you
Yeah,
are
we should
at the
not
walls.
be in the registration. We should say like, if you have a full head, you're allowed. If you have a half head, you're not allowed. Something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, but we can figure that out. If you just mark it, and the machine learning algorithm will actually identify the training data.
To count headless people. Yeah.
We
Headless
could have
people.
fixed it right now by just hanging up the cameras higher, but hey, it's software development, so just want to have a challenge and then make sure that everything works next year.
And what's the accuracy we have now? I know the answer, but maybe the audience want to know. But roughly?
It depends. When it's not too crowded, we have 90%.
90%
already. So.
Yeah, and in best
and
case.
Yeah, and it's with the problems we know, so it's
So
already
again,
quite okay.
If you want to improve our accuracy, please walk in the middle of the lane.
One by one, please.
One by one?
One by one, yeah.
Oh. That's cheating. No, don't trust them. That's not good. No, but well, definitely we're gonna what after this in December we're gonna like mark it because it's a manual thing, right? We have to gonna do like 1,000 pictures and then say like this is
at least
1,000, and then next year we'll have 98% accuracy or what?
We go for it.
That's what we're going for, yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it. Cool. So, well, I mean, that's really a cool project, isn't it? I mean, I finally can do a bit of development which is not CFP related, which is starting to get boring. But like, I've also helped you guys doing the dashboard. I had some fun, like with functions on Google, then using PubSub, then having competing consumers, then having the data stream, which actually gets that basically transformation of the JSON, then to BigQuery, then with the dashboard. It's like lots of fun. I mean, you can do this. Some amazing things. It's really cool. So we're going to see if we can actually create a company out of it. It is a company. We'll see. I mean, for the moment, it's only Devoxx, which is the customer. But there might be customers out there. We can count anything. So it's not just people. It could be cars which are moving. It could be bottles which are moving. We were just talking with one of the AV guys who said, yeah, I organize a rock concert. And the police, they know exactly how many people are in the concert. So we can perfectly do that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So then I can finally stop with Devoxx and do this full time. I would love that.
Hey, if you can do the dashboard, then we can do the AI. So
yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you for your support, man. And you have a session tomorrow, right? So tomorrow, what is it? At 11:15, room 4, if you want to know a bit more. Because what we ideally want to do is do the processing, the neural network, on the device. So they are TPUs, NPUs, so what is it, the tensor process unit? Yeah, they're now going to their counter to see if everything is working. But there's the TPUs and NPUs, and what we are starting to see is that there are like small boxes like this, and you just put it next to your Raspberry Pi, and it can be done on the device itself. Because we need to be GDPR compliant. It needs to be anonymous, right? So what the device will do is just give a counter, and the counter is how many people are in the room. So, and that's it. So that's ideally the goal of this project. Cool. So I think that's my last slide. So that's a bit of a walkthrough of what we do at Devoxx with AI to at least make me happy and not to get bored and just doing over and over these type of conferences. So I'm just having lots of fun. I mean, I can't wait to have this one over so I can go back to hacking again and have some fun.